Good evening, everybody. It's Charlie, and welcome back to another video on the Chatting Leeds YouTube channel. Hope everyone's doing all right today. As always, hope you've all had a great Friday. It's bank holiday weekend. We've all got an extra day off on Monday, so life is good. It will be even better if Leeds United can get a result tomorrow afternoon. Yes, guys, it's your match preview ahead of the Brighton game away tomorrow at the Amex Stadium. A game that, look, we thought Chelsea was going to be a huge test, and it turned out to be easy peasy. So I'm hoping that tomorrow turns out to be the same. I don't think it will be. I think it will be a much tougher contest, if I'm being honest with you. But just before we get into that, smash that like button. Please subscribe. We're nearly at 2K now. If you keep watching and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It would really mean a lot. Nearly at 2K. So yeah, that'd be great. Smash all your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below as well. And make sure that you check out my Medium page for all of my articles. Now that's out the way, let's get into the preview properly. Brighton then. So let's just talk about Brighton first of all. Brighton, obviously 3 games in, on the same amount of points as Leeds United. They've had 2 wins and a draw, just like us. Both of their wins coming against Scum on the opening day at Old Trafford, which was lovely to watch. And they beat West Ham on Sunday when we beat Chelsea. So, quite similar starts, really, to Leeds. Obviously, they've beaten 2 of the biggest teams in the league. We've beaten a very decent Wolves team and a very, very good Chelsea team. Obviously, they drew against Newcastle, a team that are on the up, who I think will have a very good season this season, by the way. They've just signed Alexander Isak, however you say his name, for a club record fee. What a signing that is, by the way. And then obviously we drew with Southampton when we were 2-0 up. So, quite similar starts, obviously, same amount of points, blah, blah, blah. But I do like the way Brighton set up. I like the way they play. I like the way that they choose when to press and when not to press. I think Graham Potter is a really good manager. I would have him as the next England manager, if I'm being honest. I think the whole nation would agree. If you don't, then please give your head a wobble, because Graham Potter is a serious manager who is really underrated in this league. I remember, actually, when we drew with them at the Amex last season in what was a awful game, 0-0. The Brighton fans booed after that. I'm sure Brighton ended up finishing like 9th, 10th last season. You know, they had a good season, and they were booing after a draw with Leeds. And Potter had a bit of a jibe at him, but I agreed with him. I completely agreed where he was coming from. Where do you expect? It's Brighton we're talking about here. Well, I mean, I was just going to say that they're exceeding expectations, but I think, you know, the fact that they've lost Kukurea and Yves Bissouma, 2 of their best players. Obviously, Kukurea went to Chelsea and got absolutely murdered last week. And Bissouma moved on to Tottenham. So, you know, they've both moved on to bigger clubs, but I think they have recruited well. I think the squad that he's got is very capable of having a similar season to what they had last season. They're a very good team at Brighton. They're a team that are very hard to break down. And like I said, they have their way of playing, and it suits them, and it's a really good brand of football. I watched a little bit of Graham Potter's press conference on YouTube earlier, actually, where he was full of praise for Leeds United and Jesse Marsch, which is good to see that Marsch is getting respect from other Premier League managers, especially a manager of Graham Potter's quality as well. And, you know, someone asked him, how do you beat Leeds United's press? How do you set up like that? And he said, obviously, he basically gave an answer that I'd expect him to, really, where he said, look, we've got the players that we feel can beat the press of Leeds United, but it's just about, obviously, making tweaks here and there depending on who the opponent is. Now, I do feel a bit more confident going into this one based on our form and based on the Chelsea performance, especially. Obviously, won't count Barnsley because it won't be the same team, but I was very impressed with our win against Chelsea. It was really unexpected. I didn't think the squad had it in them yet. I'm not saying that it wasn't anything that I didn't expect to happen down the line, but 3 games in to put a performance in like that against Chelsea, you know. But then again, I think Brighton would have easily beat Chelsea last week. I just think they were poor, but we made them poor. I just want to put that out there. I am not saying for a minute there that we only won because Chelsea were poor. We made them poor. And I think Brighton can easily make any team in this league be poor, barring Man City, potentially. So, yeah, look, we can't go into this game underestimating Brighton. We can't come into this game thinking that because we brushed Chelsea aside, that this game is a given. It isn't at all, especially at Brighton as well. If it was at Ellen Road, I'd feel more confident than what I do. I do still feel confident, by the way. If it was at Ellen Road, I'd feel way more confident. I think we've got an awful record at the Amex as well. A few draws, but I think whenever we play there, we just don't seem quite at it. But when we played there last season, it was under Marcelo Bielsa. It was the man-marking system. The players weren't at it. Now it's under Jesse Marsh. It's a new look Leeds United. It's a new system. Who knows what can happen. If someone asked me to take a point now, I would happily take a point now. If I'm being honest, I think a point, let's just say worst case scenario, a point tomorrow and then beat Everton. 4 points out of the next possible 6. I would take that happily. If we can still be undefeated after the Everton game, that'll be 5 games unbeaten. Then yeah, what points tally would that take us to? 11 points. 11 points from a possible 15. Come on. I would definitely take that. But I'm not saying we can't beat this Brighton team. I think they play with a 3 at the back with wing backs. I think we can exploit that. Obviously, Tariq Lamptey is a really good talent on the right wing back role. I do think Harrison has had an amazing start to the season. I think he can give Lamptey a run for his money. I'm so much more happier with our midfield now because we've actually got one. We've got a midfield. Mark Rocker, Tyler Adams, I think we'll be able to break up play quite nicely. Obviously, there's that, is it Caicedo for Brighton in the midfield, who's really good. But if we can keep him quiet, don't give him much space, don't let him dictate in that midfield, I think we can have some joy there as well. I think Brendan Aronson, just give him that free roaming role in that number 10, and I think he can cause any team issues. And, on the right-hand side, are we going to see Dan James or Sinistera coming in? Albeit it was Barnsley, but he had a really good game on Wednesday night. I personally, like I said in my predicted 11, I don't think Marsh will change it. Because in fairness, he hasn't got a reason to. It worked perfectly well last week. So I think the players that started last week only deserve the opportunity to start again this week. Again, the changes will be key. I think he needs to time his subs perfectly in this game, depending what happens. If Brighton score an early goal, or if it's 0-0 at half-time, Brighton score early doors in second half, make a few changes, freshen it up a bit. Or if Leeds United are 1-2-0 up like we were against Chelsea, time the subs right, make it a bit more fresher at the right time. I think Marsh, against Southampton, he got it wrong. But any manager could have had that. He more than made up for it with the Chelsea performance and how he set up tactically in that one. It'll be interesting to see how he sets up tactically against the back three of Brentford. Obviously, Chelsea play the exact same way in terms of the back line. And we managed to have so much joy in that game as well. So, yeah, if we can limit Brighton, obviously, don't allow them to beat our press easily. But I think even if they do, I think what I've been more impressed with is I used to get really bad anxiety, like seeing either the right-hand side or like the left-hand side with just so much space for the opposition. Now what I'm seeing is even though that is still happening, as the team are starting to build, as the opponent are beginning to build up momentum, you can actually see that whether it's Christensen or Strauch are starting to move over, depending on which way it's going, starting to read it a bit better, which I am really impressed with. I think the times that Chelsea did manage to kind of half break on us last week, we coped with it. We coped with it really well, whether it was Adams with a tackle, whether it was Strauch at left back, Christensen at right back. We coped with it. And I think if we can do that against Brighton, I think we can get a result there. Why not? If you're asking me for a prediction, scoreline. Oh, God. Head or heart, head or heart, head or heart. I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to go with a draw. I don't think we'll get beat. I really don't. I think the form that we've got at the minute, I can't see us losing tomorrow. The Everton game, obviously, again, there'll be content back for that. But I think Everton, not to disrespect them, but if they do lose Anthony Gordon over the next few days, I think I can't see anything but a Leeds winning that. So I think if we can get a point against Brighton and still be undefeated after 5 games, that would be unbelievable. Unbelievable. But, even worst case scenario, if we lose this game tomorrow, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Brighton are a very good side at home as well. I still think regardless of what happens tomorrow, that Leeds get a result against Everton. I do. But yeah, I am going to go with a draw tomorrow, 1-1, and I'll go with another Rodrigo goal as well. Don't get me wrong, I think Leeds United, I do think Brighton will score. I think it'll either be 1-1 or 2-1 Leeds United there. I'll go with that. But enough of me waffling now. We'll bring it to a close now. That has been your match preview ahead of Brighton against Leeds United tomorrow at the Amex Stadium. If you've enjoyed it, please smash that like button. Please subscribe. Share all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And I'll be back tomorrow after the game with my match review. I'll see you then. Cheers.